These dating nightmares might just make you give up on dating.
I quit.
Starting us off, psychotic break, schizophrenia, or crazy drunk. Not a question you want to be asking yourself on a date, that's for sure. Great first date. We had so much in common. We loved musicals and could quote little known lines from old shows, and he was also adopted by his aunt and her wife, like myself. I was super excited for the second date. It was an insanely snowy and cold evening, and my broke college butt could not afford to replace my bald tires, so I had him pick me up at my place. I trusted him after all. We connected on so many levels. He took me to a local hole-in-the-wall bar, but when we went to order food, we found out the kitchen was closed. He offered to make me chicken at his place. I was intrigued, and I've always liked watching guys cook for me. He drove me to his place and we had a couple drinks while he cooked me an amazing meal. Where does this all go wrong? This sounds wonderful. We started making out on the couch after dinner and his demeanor changed. He seemed to be getting anxious, and when I pulled away to go to the restroom, something triggered in him. I came back from my potty break to find him talking to someone. My view of the room was obscured from the hallway, so I thought he had a roommate or something that just came home. When he noticed me, he stopped and seemed a little jarred. I entered the living room and turned to the corner of the room where his discussion was centered, preparing myself to make like a good first impression. And no one was there. See, that would be enough for me, because in my head, I'm thinking paranormal, possessed, a demon has taken over, which is not funny if he does in fact have a mental illness. Obviously, you guys, which is probably the case. But in that initial moment, I'm terrified. Side note, this is not super weird to me. I practice conversations out loud. Okay, that's true. Maybe I watch too much movies. I relive clever past conversations I've had, and I even passively act out scenes from my favorite movies or TV shows. Face masks have been a weird blessing due to COVID because I haven't been called out on my incessant, outwardly expressed inner dialogue in a year and a half. Okay, so maybe I just watched too much and my mind goes to worst case scenario. I sat back down with him on the couch and did not acknowledge the incident. He was still anxious, so I began stroking his hair and I told him how handsome I thought he was. I assumed he was having a crisis of confidence, so I verbally tried to remedy that. We started slowly making out again, and we reclined along the couch with him on top of me. He abruptly stopped after a few minutes and lifted off of me halfway, so I opened my eyes and I saw him looking over in the corner of the room. I propped myself up and I looked over, but nothing was there. I tried to guide him back down, but he resisted and said, "I don't want to do this in front of her." Yep, no, I'm back to being scared. In front of who? I asked. Oh! That little girl. No. I don't fuck with little kids and scary movies. Absolutely. I'm telling you, when I watch those movies and I see those demons, I will take an possessed adult over a possessed child. I don't know why. Those fucking scary ass little girls that they put in the movies, no, because I would feel bad kicking a possessed little girl. I won't feel bad kicking a full grown adult in the face if they're crawling at me like upside down, you know? I swear by that. I do not remember most of what he said because I was starting to get freaked out, but he began arguing with this invisible little girl in the corner of the room. I just watched and listened as he got up and talked about me like I wasn't there. He spoke to her like he knew her, so I knew this wasn't a one-time occurrence. This went on for 5 minutes before he said the thing that I will remember forever. "I can't do it. She was supposed to be this pretty and smart." At that moment, I just knew that I was about to get murdered. I started to get off the couch and I grabbed my jacket. He then redirected his attention to me and told me not to leave. He grabbed my arm and pulled me down on the couch and would not let me get back up. I'm terrified for you. "Is this because I have a small wiener?" he said. "My wiener is perfectly normal, and I think it is really disgusting that women are so obsessed with size. They always want a-holes with donkey dicks. What's happening?" I replied, "I would have no way to know what your size is. I just want to leave because you are making me feel unsafe, and I suspect that you are dealing with some mental health issue right now. Can you please take me home? At this point, I am trying to decide if I could freeze to death walking the 4 miles back to my apartment, and my conclusion was that it was a possibility. I needed to get out of this house and maybe knock on doors or something to get help. Keep in mind, back then, Uber wasn't a thing. I had to change my game plan. I had to survive this. I started talking to the imaginary girl and continued the conversation 3 ways for 45 minutes because my date kept blocking the exits when I would get close. I am so scared. I have goosebumps in my legs. I told her things like, I was sorry that I was making out with him. I know he is your friend and you don't want to see us being that friendly. I like him a lot too, and I do want to be with him. I'm just really tired, and maybe I can come back tomorrow and we can all go to the park together. You look like you were getting really tired too, sweetheart. This is wild. In reality, I was trying to calm my troubled date and make him feel like I wasn't going to ghost him. I talked about how I thought he was the one and how I wanted to wait to have a romantic relations with him because he was so special. Finally, he offered to take me home. And he did so, with the emergency brake enraged the entire journey. When his yellow Mustang pulled up to my apartment, I instantly regretted that he knew where I lived. Girl, I was saying that in my head. I kept the act up and I kissed him sweetly and told him to text me tomorrow. I walked into the door and tightly shut the door, turning the lock and sliding the chain. The ordeal was over, or so I thought. I woke up to a loud banging about 3 hours later. I opened the door, leaving the chain hooked. Guess who it was? My date proceeded to accuse me of stealing his debit card. He told me he didn't care, but he needed it back. I told him I didn't have it, but he continued to get louder until 2 men from across the hall opened their door. A few days later, the dude texted me and told me he found his debit card. He apologized for getting tipsy the other night. That's more than tipsy. About 3 years later, dude contacted me on OKC. He did not recognize me. I told him that we had gone on a couple dates and explained what happened, to which he said, sorry that happened, but are you sure that was me? Nah, that's something serious. And that's not in any kind of funny way. That's something serious. That's not alcohol. That is something concerning and scary. That's all I can say about it. And I'm really glad you're safe. My date tried to kill me. That'll do it. I actually don't know if I would date. If God forbid I become single, I'll just be single. My friend and her husband, FH, decided to set me up with a blind date with an acquaintance of his. Supposedly, the guy saw me in the background of a video taken last fall during my godkid's party and was begging FH to find a way for us to meet. Originally, they first tried around Valentine's Day, but I was out of state. So I got set up last Saturday. The thing is, I have an avocado food allergy. My friend and FH knew about it and warned him of my allergy. My date didn't think it was possible, so he picked a local restaurant that has avocado and guacamole on 80% of the menu. When I agreed to the date, I asked FH to stay around just in case because I don't know this guy. I'm very happy he decided to stay after what happened. My date was already seated, so I went up and ordered and paid for my food. I ordered a full quesadilla because it is huge and one of the safest items I can order at this restaurant. My date was eating some chips and guacamole while I waited for my food and kept telling me I have to try this amazing guacamole. I would politely decline and attempt to change the topic to some more first date topics. When my food arrived, I found out my date had ordered an avocado double cheeseburger, and he decided he didn't need his half cup of guac. So he kept offering for me to eat it with my food. He offered it 6 or so times before he did the unthinkable. He decided to dump his guacamole straight on top of my food. Who is this person? I yelled, "What is wrong with you?" Which made FH come over to see me pissed off. He grabbed me before I could punch the smirk off this a-hole. FH took me out to his car before returning to the restaurant to get my purse and pick up the to-go order he made for his family. On the ride back to my house, FH apologized and offered to take me to grab a different meal since my date ruined my dinner. I'd be so mad. I love quesadillas. You ruined my quesadilla. I'm angry just thinking about it. I'm also really hungry and now I want a quesadilla. I let him since he stopped me from murdering the man. On Monday, I noticed my Instagram got a boom of likes and it was my date. He DM'd me saying our date was fun and then asked when he could see me again. I told him never and I blocked him. Throughout the week, I got message requests from his family asking for him to have a second chance. He's also trying to get FH to help him, but FH tells him no and to leave everybody alone. Currently, I'm being called an a-hole by his family by refusing a second date with such a decent man. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I mean, even when he picked that restaurant, I don't know if I would have gone because he knew the allergy and you could look up the menu beforehand. Next up, turns out lies do come true. I went for dinner with a guy after a mutual friend had set us up on a date. For context, later on, I am female. The date was awful. We had nothing in common, a completely different sense of humor, completely different values, long awkward pauses, just about everything you could think of. Not to mention the fact that he was a show-off and incredibly materialistic. He would compliment my shoes so he could tell me how expensive his shoes were, that sort of thing. I was polite but knew that there was no way I would be willingly seeing this man again. My friend was giving me a ride home but couldn't get there for another 30 minutes. To my surprise, given how badly dinner had gone, this guy offered to buy us a drink while we waited. Why did he say that weird? Honestly, I should have just said no thanks. We get our drinks and sit down at a table when he asks me if he can borrow my phone to send a message to his mother. I ask him why. He chums out all this BS and I reluctantly hand over my phone open on the new message screen and I watch him typing this message. 2 minutes later, he looks horrified. He turns the phone around and shows me that you need a PIN to get into my sent messages. He demands that I give him the PIN and even says he's not willing to give the phone back until I do, throwing in some crap about how he doesn't like people having his mother's number. I make it abundantly clear to him that I have no interest in his mother or her number, and that if he doesn't give me my phone right effing now, then I'm going to create a scene. After 5 minutes, he hands me the phone and I look to see that this loser has sent himself a message from my phone. It reads, "Thank you so much for buying such an amazing dinner, and thanks for the BJ XX." It actually says the actual words, but I'm gonna say BJ. I glare across the table at him and he is turned bright red and giggling. I continue to stare until he tells me that it was just a joke. After a few more seconds of tormenting silence, I ask him, "Why would I thank you for a BJ?" He squirms, he's bright red again, and once again tells me it was a joke. This time I laugh, making it very obvious it's at him and not with him. Now he's telling me to delete it. I stand up, tell him I'll be playing along to his little lie and telling everyone, including our mutual friend, and that he's into that crap, and I leave. Obviously, I didn't go around telling people that. I just wanted him to sit in the consequences of his own stupid actions. Thankfully, I never heard or saw him again. Yeah, guys, these stories would literally make me never want to date someone ever again. So God forbid if I become single, y'all. I'm going, you'll never hear from me again. I will move to a little countryside in a cute little cottage. That actually sounds really nice. Perfect time. Let's hop on. What? We're hopping on. Hydration station. Grab your beverage. Let me know what's in your cup. Oh! That was so rude. I'm so sorry. Cheers. What a bitch. Who am I? Well, this is disappointing. So I matched with this guy French, français. Very cute. Agreed to meet today at 5 p.m. I noticed he had deleted his account after we agreed to meet. I found that odd, but he said he will leave the city and then be back again, so I thought maybe he just couldn't bother with it anymore, or whatever. I picked out a cute outfit, bought new tightening stockings to feel as sexy as possible, put on some makeup, etc. I was kind of excited. He seemed nice, and he even sent me an audio message to chat a bit instead of texting, which is always nice. He did ask me like 4 times during our first conversation why I can't meet him that day instead of tomorrow, so I explained to him 4 times. He also sent me 1 photo of his trip around town. We talked about just finding a place to go to have some wine and just chill, no pressure. He texted me the next morning while I was at work asking how my day was, so I thought, okay. So he has the meeting still in mind and we are up and running. I finished earlier, so I texted him that if he wants, we can meet up as I finished up with work. No reply. Okay, no problem. Probably doesn't check his phone as much. So I went to the bookstore and looked around, and I actually found a fun, kind of flirty game. You know those cards kind of things where you can ask a bunch of questions? I know exactly, I have them. I play them. So perhaps we could actually do that while we chat over wine and get to know each other a bit more and add some light flirting to it, you know? So I bought that. That actually sounds like such a cute first date. I like to surprise my date with random stuff sometimes. I feel like it takes the edge off from the guy trying to impress me or whatever. One other guy, I had a printout of his visit to a beer brewery and I signed it. Gave it to him as a souvenir. He was very happy about it. Anyhow, because I had a crazy busy day at work and I only had time for 1 banana, I was starving and I had no reply from him yet. I thought I'll go grab a quick bite. While I was eating, he sent me a text message and said he agreed to meet his friends on 2.5 after our date and if he should cancel it. I told him it doesn't bother me either way, his call. Although, why even mention it? It's 5:25 p.m. I finished eating and I decided I will head home. We agreed on 5 p.m. What was with the delay? I also saw that he had deleted the photo he had sent me. Now I was getting, that's weird. Why would he do that? And not in a good way. Then he sends me a text and says if I want to go over to his place to have some wine and that he actually is not in the mood for wine, but if I want to have some, he can go buy it. I just stared at it. So that's our plan? I actually had a place in mind to go to and thought I will offer it as we meet in the city. I texted him, I'll go home. I ate and just had wine. I'm good. He asked me if I was mad and I told him that we agreed on 5 p.m. It's 5:30 now. He's still in his room and it just shows that he's not very excited about the date and I lost interest. I'm not feeling the vibe anymore and I blocked him. Yeah, a little pissed off. This reminds me of that time I've shared the story. I used a dating app for 48 freaking hours and I got stood up. Stood up. I was fully ready to go. Ghosted. Didn't hear from him for like months later when he like Instagrammed me and said, I'm really sorry I did that. Next up, here we go again. I, 45 female, was off the apps the last 2 months as work was crazy. Downloaded Hinge this week and matched with a guy, 45 male. He sounded really good. Similar interests, background, able to hold a conversation. I don't usually go for a man with kids, but he convinced me that they are independent enough. He is separated since the last 4 years. He asked me to meet, so I met him last night. In spite of having kids, I feel like since I'm into breaking patterns these days, so it's just a date, let's meet, schedule the coffee date. Number 1, we met, he was on time, had a great conversation. I had a time limit in my head of 1 hour. It was all going great. Then I asked him about his kids. The arrangement he had with his ex sounded good. Then he told me that he is still married to her, though they lived apart for 2 years and he emotionally detached for 4 years. He is lazy about paperwork and didn't opt for divorce. I asked him if he plans to, and he replied, yes, this year. And apparently his wife is all to blame for this. He took 0 responsibility for the marriage. To be honest, he could have told me this before we met. It put me off so bad. For me, this looks like a man who isn't ready to let go of the past, but at the same time wants new excitement in life. Get some hobbies. Build a better social life. Please stop wasting people's time. If you are still legally married, you have no business being on a dating app while not disclosing that information. Number 2, I didn't want to get into an argument with him, so I just listened to whatever he said. I soon decided to leave in an amicable way, so I said goodbye pleasantly. I was not in the mood to hug as well, but trying to keep it pleasant. He pulled me in strongly for a hug and then went in for a kiss. This was so disgusting. I turned my face away reactively and he kissed my cheek. Men, please do not initiate physical contact, especially on a first date, unless the girl does it. I feel like some people might disagree with some of what she's saying. I don't know. Number 3, it was a simple coffee date, but when we entered, he said he would pay for me. I replied, it's okay, I can pay for myself. And then the guy went, sure. I'm happy to pay for myself, and I always have on many dates. But I do see this as a gauge of how much of a gentleman a guy is, especially since it's an inexpensive coffee. I pay for my friends many times, so if I was a guy, I would happily pay for one on a first date. I know this always causes a big debate, but it definitely is an indication of the qualities in a guy and whether or not he knows how to treat a prospective partner in his life. Anyhow, I came back home and he has already texted me that he wants to see me again and would want to meet the very next day. I politely told him that I don't want to continue seeing a married guy, and that's that. Ugh. Of all of this, I'm glad I broke the pattern and gave someone a try who isn't my type. Also, I moved on quickly and already scheduled another date this weekend with another guy I have been talking to. I feel like we might all not agree on all that. I don't know. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts, especially because I haven't been married and then separated and you're not together. However, legally maybe you are, but you're both starting to date. I don't know. Give me some stuff, some perspective in the comments. First, last, and only date. The year was 1992. Hey, the year I was born. I was taking a forensic anthropology course. Our professor was asked to do a demonstration for the local police force on how to properly dig up a body. So we staged a scene, buried a skeleton with a homemade garrote and other clues. It was fun, and I met a lot of cool people that day. One of them even asked me out. I mistakenly said yes. We will call him Daryl. Before I even opened the door when he came to pick me up, I knew it was not going to be good. He had on so much cologne I could smell him through the door. His truck was in bad shape. Dangerously bad. Like there was no floorboard and I had to prop my feet up on the dashboard or risk doing a Fred Flintstone battle. The restaurant he picked was The Kettle. Now, if you're not familiar with this restaurant, it's 2 steps down from a Denny's, but I like breakfast style food, so I went with it. Except I didn't get to choose my own meal. No. Daryl ordered for me. The daily special. Cup of tomato soup and a grilled cheese sandwich. But he was a first year's sheriff's deputy, so I figured he didn't have a lot of money. I politely ate my food and I drank my water while he talked. And talked and talked. His favorite topic, how he liked to screw with people because he was a cop. He told me his favorite thing to do was drive 5 miles under the speed limit and pull the first person who tried to pass him. That's when I realized he was the idiot cop who made me late to class the week before. The moment we finished eating, I told him to take me home and that I'd work the next morning. He called me a few times after that, but I said no each time. First, last, and only date. Oh, that would piss me off. Oh, people in position of power, taking advantage of people like that. Ugh. Denny's for a date? Right when you said that, I was like, I could get on board for that. I am a breakfast, lunch, and dinner type. Breakfast at dinner time? Sign me up. One of my faves, to be honest. Let me know your thoughts, everybody. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. See you tomorrow.